Welcome to Voxcrypt.
When you picture Zeus, that iconic image almost certainly comes to mind, doesn't it? Lightning in hand, a crown, sitting up there on Mount Olympus. He's the king of the gods, the ultimate arbiter, the one who's supposedly brought order from chaos. But here's the paradox we want to explore today. Is he truly this noble king, this symbol of cosmic justice? Or is there maybe another side, something more like a ruthless tyrant, wielding power without any checks?
Yeah, it's a fundamental question, really. It cuts right to the core of Greek mythology, and honestly, the nature of power itself. Our deep dive today isn't just about, retelling old stories. It's about digging into whether Zeus truly embodies cosmic justice, or if he's more a symbol of just, unchecked power, commanding with thunder, judging with wrath. We're going to unpack this really complex figure, try to move beyond just the familiar thunder god image, look at his dual nature savior, yes, but maybe also oppressor. We'll pull from the myths, art, cultural analysis too, hopefully to provoke some fresh thought on leadership, and maybe what tyranny actually looks like.
Okay, let's unpack his journey then, right from the start. How does Zeus even get to be king in the first place? Because it's a really dramatic origin story, almost shockingly brutal when you actually think about it. His father, Cronus, he was absolutely terrified by a prophecy. It said one of his own kids would dethrone him, just like he'd overthrown his own father, Uranus. So Cronus' solution, he devoured each of his newborn children. Horrifying. But Rhea, Zeus' mother, she refused to let that happen again. She gave birth to Zeus in secret, hid him away on Crete. And then she cleverly tricked Cronus, gave him a stone wrapped in baby clothes to swallow instead. It's a story rooted in survival, in defiance, right from day one.
Well, what's truly fascinating there is that cycle, isn't it? The cyclical nature of these power struggles, son overthrowing father. It's baked into these foundational myths. Zeus's path to power, it didn't just start with strength. It started with cleverness, an alliance with Metis, the goddess of wisdom, who helped him figure out how to trick Cronus into, regurgitating his siblings. And then came the Titanomachy, that huge 10-year war against the Titans for control of everything. That's what really cemented his reign. So the initial insight maybe is that his rise wasn't purely about justice, right?
Yeah.
It was a successful rebellion, born out of a desperate need to survive that ultimately put him on top.
Right. And after that massive war, Zeus had another big job, dividing the world with his brothers, Poseidon and Hades. The story goes they cast lots. Zeus got the sky, Poseidon the seas, Hades the underworld. Now, on the surface, that sounds, fair, kind of democratic even. But what's your take? Was it really an equitable split? Or did it sort of strategically set Zeus up for supremacy from the get-go?
That's a really insightful question because, the casting of lots looks fair, it seems democratic, but Zeus undeniably got the most symbolically powerful realm, the sky. I mean, that instantly put him in a position of watching over everything, omnipresent oversight, effective, absolute power. He wasn't just god of the sky, he declared himself king of the gods, keeping the final judgment for himself. So that act, it subtly positions Zeus as the master of everyone else's destiny, gods, mortals, you name it, right from the start. So the takeaway here is that this division, while looking fair, strategically placed Zeus as the ultimate, unquestionable authority figure, watching over all.
And Zeus wasn't exactly content to just sit back and watch from on high, was he? He was constantly getting involved, meddling, you could say, in the lives of mortals and other gods. It seems like he just couldn't resist jumping in. Sometimes, maybe to keep order, but other times, honestly, it felt like it was just about his own anger or desire or maybe self-interest. Given all these interventions, how do we even start to characterize his approach to order and justice?
He was definitely a central character, and often a disruptive one, no doubt about it. I mean, think about Prometheus, the Titan who dared to give fire, basically knowledge, civilization to humanity. Zeus's reaction, swift, brutal, chained Prometheus to a rock, eagle eats his liver daily, forever. That punishment, it really shows Zeus's deep fear of humans becoming too powerful, too independent of his control. It blurs that line between divine justice and just personal anger. Or look at the flood of Deucalion and Pyrrha. Zeus was outraged by human corruption, so he unleashed a massive flood, almost wiped everyone out. An extreme way to restore order, sure, but was it proportionate? Or just uncontrollable wrath? We also see him in the Trojan War. Tries to be neutral at first, but then he's directly influencing the course of the war, deciding the fate of heroes. Even among the gods, Apollo steps out of line, threatens the divine order. Zeus banishes him to Earth to serve mortals. So these examples, they consistently show Zeus using his huge power to enforce his will, and often blurring the lines between justice and personal vendetta. It really illustrates how unchecked power can kind of masquerade as maintaining order.
So when you look at how severe these punishments were, the symbolism behind them, does Zeus really come across as embodying justice here? Or is it projecting a different kind of image? Are these acts maintaining cosmic order, or do they feel more like tyranny? Enforcing order through fear, silencing anyone who disagrees.
They absolutely lean towards tyranny. I mean, take Prometheus again. Eternal torment for what? For gifting free thought, enlightenment. The insight there is that Zeus was genuinely afraid of defiance. He was afraid of humanity empowering itself beyond his control. He saw wisdom itself as a threat to his absolute authority. Then there's a really tragic story of Io, a mortal priestess Zeus desired. To hide the affair from Hera, he turns Io into a cow. But Hera finds out, sends a gadfly to torment her, chase her across the world. So Zeus turning her into an animal. That wasn't protection, it was erasure. A way to hide his own actions and make her a victim of his power. And Sisyphus, of course. The clever king who tricked death multiple times, Zeus condemns him to roll that huge boulder uphill forever, only for it to roll back down. Endless, futile effort. Sisyphus' cleverness wasn't really a threat to cosmic order. Zeus just couldn't stand being outsmarted by a mortal, this pattern. It strongly suggests Zeus enforced order not through fairness or empathy, but through just a brutal show of absolute authority, silencing dissent through fear and humiliation.
Okay, so if his justice was questionable, his personal life, especially his romantic involvements, that paints an even more complex and often pretty disturbing picture, right?
Yeah.
He famously used shape-shifting, deception, outright coercion sometimes to get what he wanted. What does his approach to these relationships tell us about his power dynamics?
Oh, absolutely. His relationships were often steeped in dominance and control. It's undeniable. With mortal women, he frequently came down to earth disguised. As a swan for Leda, a bull to abduct Europa. He even took the form of Alcmene's own husband to deceive her. She became the mother of Heracles. The critical thing here is that these encounters, often totally without real consent, and they didn't just result in demigods, they often led to immense suffering for the women. They faced Hera's vengeance or just abandonment, and even among goddesses. His wife Hera suffered constantly from his cheating. Other goddesses like Demeter, Maya, Leto, they also got involved with Zeus, but often it felt like it was under duress, or in secret, or with this undeniable undercurrent of resentment.
So looking back at these stories, are we really talking about acts of love?
Mm-hmm.
Or were they fundamentally expressions of dominance, just disguised as desire? And what was the wider impact of these narratives on how masculine power was seen in ancient myth?
Well, they had a huge impact. Sure, they led to the birth of many great heroes, and that definitely legitimized Zeus's power, established these powerful demigod lineages. But the women, they're consistently shown as victims, abducted, deceived, suffering intensely. The myths, unfortunately, tend to equate love with control. Zeus's love is shown through transformation, coercion, trickery. Not empathy or respect. He really embodies a kind of masculinity that's defined by dominance over others, their bodies, their wills, not by compassion or equality. And yet, this perspective absolutely echoes ancient patriarchal views, where men commanded and women were often just pushed to the side, used as tools, or becoming casualties in the pursuit of power and pleasure.
Right. So after establishing his what's called ironclad rule, Zeus still faced constant threats, not just from mortals, but from these truly huge, monstrous beings. We're talking the Titans, the giants, the monster Typhon. How did he handle these challenges? And what are his responses tell us about his leadership style? Was he preserving order or just enforcing absolute suppression?
His responses were consistently decisive and often, brutally overwhelming. The Titanomachy, that war with the Titans, it lasted a grueling 10 years, And after he won, Zeus didn't reconcile. He banished them all to Tartarus, the deepest, most inescapable pit in the underworld. So that established the new order through violence and just uncompromising exile. No second chances. Then came the Gigantomachy, the giants, Gaia's kids, stacking mountains to attack Olympus. Zeus, with help from Athena and Heracles, crushed them, symbolizing, celestial rule triumphing over earthly chaos. And maybe the biggest threat of all was Typhon. This monster with hundreds of heads who actually beat Zeus at first stole his thunderbolts. But Zeus, with help, got his strength back and eventually buried Typhon under Mount Etna, reasserting his dominance completely. The key insight here, I think, is that Zeus always triumphed by relying on absolute power. Using preemptive violence, showing zero tolerance for defiance, his main tool was always destruction, not negotiation or finding common ground.
But couldn't you argue that maybe some of those actions, like banishing Apollo or completely crushing the giants, maybe they were necessary to prevent chaos among the gods themselves, perhaps? Or to protect the new order he'd fought so hard to create. Maybe it was a form of wise leadership, not just fear driving him.
That's a fair point, and some interpretations definitely lean that way, viewing Zeus as the necessary strong hand in a pretty chaotic universe. But when you look closely at the patterns in how he responds, it seems pretty clear that his fear of losing power often drove him to extreme reactions. Zeus never really seemed to seek dialogue or compromise. His default was always force. Thunderbolts, banishment, total destruction. The myths consistently show him winning through unmatched power, not necessarily through justice or reasoned debate. The order he enforced was one where basically no dissenting voice could survive, and that often feels like it crosses the line from maintaining order into just outright suppression.
It's really striking how Zeus's image has changed so much in art and literature over the centuries, way beyond those original myths. How have artists and writers interpreted this really complex character over time? How has he been viewed differently in different eras?
It's a fascinating evolution, absolutely. In ancient sculpture, for example, you have Phidias' huge statue of Zeus at Olympia, one of the seven wonders. It showed him in this majestic calm, symbolizing ultimate authority, divine judgment. Roman statues of Jupiter, their version of Zeus, often emphasized his muscles, his stern look embodying raw strength, command. Then in painting, especially the Renaissance, you often see Zeus in those romantic scenes disguised as a swan or a bull, emphasizing the seductive, domineering side. Baroque paintings push that further, showing him hurling thunderbolts, embodying absolute cosmic power and wrath. But literature gives us maybe a more nuanced picture. Homer, in the Iliad and Odyssey, shows him as a divine judge who can sway wars. Hesiod's Theogony sees him as the architect of cosmic order, but then modern writers like Sartre or feminist authors, they've really critiqued Zeus, seeing him as a symbol of patriarchy, unchecked power, even tyranny, someone who confuses love with control and enforces justice through fear.
Wow. It's striking how that reveals Zeus isn't really a fixed character at all. He's more like a mirror, reflecting humanity's ongoing concerns about power, ethics, freedom throughout history. His changing portrayal really highlights how our own understanding of power has shifted over time.
Exactly. He goes from this majestic sky god to a symbol of authority, from a wise judge to a ruthless seducer, and from a cosmic ruler to a figure that's really ripe for critique. His shifting interpretations show that even these ancient myths can serve as a kind of canvas for our contemporary worries about power and its impact.
Okay, so given everything we've talked about, what happens when we put Zeus side by side with other supreme gods? Let's imagine stepping into a hall of sovereigns. Compare Zeus with, say, Odin from Norse myths, Amun-Ra from Egypt, and Indra from Hindu traditions. How do their ideas about power stack up against Zeus's, and what can they teach us about different ways to be a supreme leader?
Right, imagine this hall of sovereigns. Their perspectives on power are really quite different. Zeus strides in, proud, saying something like, "I build order through power. I crushed every rebellion is that weakness." His view is power through suppression, through force. But then Odin, the Norse god of wisdom and war, he responds, "Zeus, you kept power through fear. I sought wisdom, sacrifice. Is knowledge weaker than lightning?" He's emphasizing insight over just command. Amun-Ra, the Egyptian sun and creator god, talks about light and creation. "My rule comes from light, not wrath," he might say. "But even I, to keep balance, sometimes had to destroy. Power always means hard choices." He acknowledges the difficulty but grounds it in creation, balance. And Indra, the Hindu god of thunder and war, he brings this surprising humility. "I fought demons, battled chaos," he says, "but I was beaten by mortals more than once. My power was never absolute, never flawless. Maybe no ruler is perfect."
Wow, that comparison really brings up a central question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is that king of the gods archetype always destined for tyranny? Or could there be a different, maybe more enlightened kind of supreme leadership?
Yeah, and imagine a heavy silence falls in the hall. And Zeus, maybe his voice is a bit softer now, asks the others, "Are we all tyrants then? Does power always bring suppression?" And the replies are really profound. Odin says, "No, if power is guided by wisdom," Amun-Ra adds. "No, if light conquers darkness without burning everything down." And Indra just smiles and says, "No, if you can accept defeat and actually learn from it."
It's in that moment, isn't it? When Zeus, maybe just for a second, puts down his thunderbolt, we get a glimpse of a potentially evolving understanding of leadership. Maybe for the first time, he considers power not just as domination, but maybe in listening and responsibility. It suggests even the most absolute ruler might benefit from some reflection.
Exactly. He might reflect perhaps on Prometheus chained up, Io wandering lost, Sisyphus exhausted. He might wonder if his power always truly served cosmic order, or if sometimes it was just about preserving himself. It's a powerful image, that self-reflection, even for the king of the gods. It hints at the potential for growth, even beyond absolute rule.
So we've taken quite a deep dive into Zeus today. A truly paradoxical figure, isn't he? A rebel who became an authoritarian ruler, a judge who could also be a source of chaos, a lover who often acted more like a dominator. His story really is a powerful symbol of just how complex power itself can be.
Yeah, to quickly summarize what we found, Zeus started by rebelling against his father, Cronus, only to become this unquestioned, often authoritarian power himself. In dividing the world, he grabbed the top spot, the superior realm, kept final judgment for himself, always at the peak. In his relationships, particularly with women, he often seemed to confuse love with possession, leaving behind, frankly, silent victims. When threats arose, his response was overwhelming violence, not dialogue or trying to reconcile. And in art and literature, we see him depicted with both grandeur and majesty, but also facing sharp critique over time, showing how interpretations shift. Compared to other top gods, he often seems rigid, authoritarian, yet, as we just saw, maybe capable of moments of reflection, maybe even yielding to wisdom.
Which brings us to a really important question for all of us, I think. Does absolute power always corrupt? Can rulership, if it exists without listening, without empathy, without limits, does it inevitably become tyranny? Zeus, with that thunderbolt, he represents that absolute power, but that same thunderbolt can illuminate, or it can burn. Power without wisdom, that becomes domination. Without love, it becomes possession. Without responsibility, it just becomes fear. So in the end, maybe Zeus shouldn't be simply glorified or condemned. Maybe he should be understood as this powerful symbol of what power can become when it's left completely unrestrained, and what it might be if it were guided by wisdom, compassion, and maybe some humility. How many Zeuses walk among us today? Maybe in different disguises. And when you face their power, will you be Prometheus, the defiant one bringing fire? Will you be Io, the silent victim? Or perhaps, will you be Zeus yourself, reflecting on the thunderbolt you hold in your own hand?